Why do you believe President Obama's national security advisors are naive?
I guess the way I would put it is that I would put a somewhat more positive spin on it.
I'm
I
using
would
your
say-
words.
I would say that they are unrealistically idealistic. And I'll give you an example. I'll give you a specific example of a case where I just felt they were totally wrong-headed. So this had to do with President Mubarak in January of 2011. We had the uprisings in Tahrir Square. Mubarak finally says, okay, I will leave in October. My son won't run for the presidency of Egypt. I will name a vice president. I'm basically going to retire. The entire senior national security team, Vice President Biden, Secretary Clinton, me, Chairman of the Joint Chiefs, and the Director of National Intelligence, all said, hold his feet to the fire, tell him he does have to leave, but he's got to execute the program that he just described. Junior staffers, led by Susan Rice, both Samantha Power and Ben Rhodes, all argued with the president, you've got to be on the right side of history here. My reaction internally was, yeah, if we could just figure out what that is. But you've got to be on the right side of history here. You've got to call Mubarak. You've got to tell him he's got to leave tomorrow. And then you've got to go out in public and say you told him that. And we argued, just tell him he's got to execute his plan. Tell him he's got to leave sooner rather than later. And the president decided against the entire senior national security team and went with Susan Rice, Samantha Power, and Ben Rhodes. And we all have seen what happened after that. And I think that there is a lack of understanding that you can't go directly from decades, if not centuries, of authoritarianism to some kind of democracy in the absence of any kind of rule of law or institutions or even civil society. And so it was, I think, inevitable that we would end up where we are with the army back in charge in Egypt as it has been since 1953. And you know, we see the same problems in Libya, and I will say, to be bipartisan about it, the expanded ambitions in Iraq and Afghanistan to create relatively modern, relatively democratic, relatively non-corrupt governments was not ever going to be possible within the time frame that the American people were prepared to tolerate our having large numbers of troops in those countries, the attendant casualties, and the dollar cost of being involved there. These transitions are very, very difficult, and they take a lot of time. And I think that President Obama's National Security Advisor, particularly Susan Rice, and the National Security Council staff and the White House staff have unrealistic expectations about how fast those transitions can be made.